Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd do a quick video this morning on the interactive map that's been provided by the Logan City Council in their dashboard section. So if you click on that, then it will open up into this window, which is at loganhub.com.au/interactive mapping. But if you just type in loganhub.com.au, you'll get taken to this screen, and then you click on interactive mapping and this one will pop up. So this is a really interesting tool, really useful, especially for those that are interested in environmental issues and want to find out what the environmental stuff and what interesting things about their property, like the flood levels, the wetland rating, the acid sulfate levels in the soil, that sort of thing. So you can just type your street address in the top here, and it'll actually zoom into your specific property. Now, I'm not going to do that at the moment. I'm just going to have a look at a general area. Now, generally when you open it up, it'll actually have the aerial map. I find the aerial map is a little bit distracting, but it can be helpful when you're trying to find specific spots. I do apologise for my toddler being noisy in the background, but anyway, for this, I'm going to turn the aerial map off because it's a little bit distracting in my view. So at this point, you can actually see where the properties are and where streets are. And there's some other things in here. Like, you can turn these things on and off if you wish to. I'm going to leave them on for now. So there's lots of really interesting things that you can find out in here. So you can come into the Logan Planning Scheme, and I find the overlays section really, really interesting. Like if you want to look at the acid sulfate overlay, you can actually check on the trigger points. So all these shaded areas now are actually trigger points for the acid sulfate soils. So that means you've got to check the acid sulfate. And then, so they're just triggers, but that actually shows where the acid sulfate soils are as well. So, yeah, very interesting. So, yeah, there's a lot of it over this sort of area. So, where are we at the moment? So, this is Schmidt Road here, and this would be Fryer Road. So, this area here is all the acid sulfate. And that's rather significant at the moment. So yes, so that's the acid sulfate areas in Eagleby. Biodiversity area overlays are very interesting. So these are the trigger areas for biodiversity. So these are the areas that you can find a lot of biodiversity in the Eagleby area. As you can see, there's a lot. So then you've got the vegetation management areas. I'm not sure what the difference is between the pink and the green. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of keys on here, so it doesn't actually tell you what the different things are. But this is a vegetation management area. So it's all along Schmidt Road. So yes. So next we can look at the biodiversity corridor. A lot of you would have seen this on maps that are going around at the moment with the Coomera Connector through them. So these are all corridors for the biodiversity. So corridors where plants and animals and all that sort of thing can actually stay safe. I don't think there's much of a koala corridor in Eagleby. It's a koala corridor up here through Coomera and Shayla Park into Daisy Hill. But nothing in Eagleby, although we do have koalas in Eagleby, or at least a few have been seen. Then you've got the environmental management and conservation areas. These are very interesting. The Coomera Connector is coming very close to this one. So then you've got locally significant vegetation types. So let's see. Locally significant vegetation. Okay, there doesn't seem to be much in that one. Sometimes you've got to scroll in a bit to actually see them. Not a lot with that one. So locally significant Gosnia and Goncalada area. It's a tree. It's a type of tea tree, I believe. I googled it, and there's a whole write-up on it on the Logan City Council website. Very interesting. And then you've got the locally significant remnant vegetation area. I don't think there's much of that allocated in Eagleby too. Once you're at this level, you can't see it, at least not on my screen. If you've got different computer screens, will actually show up different amounts of information. So then you've got the matters of state and local significance. So these are lines of matters of state and local significance. Not sure why they are significant. Then you've got the polygons. So it's just drawing, really. So you got, and the matters of environmental significance area. So these areas are really quite significant environmentally. A lot of very significant environmental areas in this area. And there's a lot of other things in this area as well that are not in the biodiversity. So we'll click that one off. Extractive resources. This one's interesting. So this one I know about because I own property along Eagleby Road, and part of it I'm not allowed to do anything with because it's part of the extractive resource trigger. So all of this section up here is actually being affected by the Coomera Connector. I'm not quite sure how they can do that. So yes, so there's some, and these are different triggers. They don't actually show up much really, not in this area anyway. So you got the extractive resource separation area. We had to do searches to find out what all this meant, which was kind of interesting. You got the heritage overlays, heritage trigger. So I thought this was actually interesting. I didn't realise that this section here near the school is actually a heritage area. I would have thought this would have been because that's the Eagleby Cemetery, and obviously the Beanley Cemetery is obviously significant. I'm not sure why this one is. That would be interesting to investigate. Oh, that's not. That's Mom. I think that's been bulldozed. Mom. That's interesting that happened. Yes. Bit of interesting trivia. I'm pretty sure that was the old church that has been demolished. Yeah, I'm not sure what some of this is, but it'd be interesting to go through and have a look. Yeah, you've got the waterways and watercourses. That's really interesting as well. I'll turn those off because we don't need those anymore. Here's the waterways and the watercourses. So you got the water corridors and the erosion-prone areas. Sorry for the coughing, guys. So waterway corridor triggers are these ones. Then you got the water area triggers, and then the wetland buffer triggers. So these are all buffer areas for the wetlands. Then you've got the waterways, and you've got the wetlands. Let's turn that one off for now, and that way. And then you've got the wetlands and the wetland buffer area. So it's very interesting. So yeah, I highly encourage you to come in and actually check out your particular sub's address. Like you can actually come in and click on an actual property. You can zoom to that property. I actually used to live here. 43D, it was a lovely street. Lovely property. I wish I hadn't moved, actually. Pop on the aerial view. So then with that, you can actually look at the different overlays for that particular property. So we'll turn the overlays off for now. That's off for now. And it's got potential for acid. Actual acid sulfate soil is less than 5 meters. but more than 5 metres, but less than 20 metres. There are more overlays you can get on different properties too. Random one. Let's pick this one. So it gives you the property details, whether it's zoned, what its zoning is, how big the block is. It's a really, really interesting tool and very useful. So this one's got a lot of different overlays that are very interesting. So if you zoom into the property, zoom out a little bit. So this one is in Sharon Drive. So potential for acid sulfate. A reasonably high potential there. Primary vegetation management overlays. So they're the primary vegetation. Oh, turn off these wetland things. Matters of state significance and local significance, kind of interesting. More matters of local environmental significance. Bushfire hazard. Important information to know. Flooding and inundation areas and wetland buffers. So just a bit of interesting trivia. So it's really useful to know this information about your property. Not that I have any idea who lives at 32 Sharon Drive. But yeah, it's really useful for people that live in these areas to actually know some information about it. So yeah, anyway, I hope you found this helpful and useful, and you get in there and you use these resources that the Logan City Council have given us. One thing that I really, really find very helpful in this particular section, as a permaculture designer, it's important for me to be able to find out what the distance is above sea level for a property. And the Logan City Council have got those available too. So here is actually showing you the 10 metre contours. We don't really have much above 25 metres. It's a bit up here. So it's 25 metres above sea level. But the closer you zoom in, the different sea levels you can actually see. So this is 15 metres above sea level. Then you've got 5 metres above sea level, and then these ones are all down around 1 metre. So you get the 25 and 26 metres above sea level up here. So it's not very high above sea level really here. So yeah, you've got a lot of places over here that are only 1 metre above sea level. Sorry, I'm going to have to stop recording soon. My voice is really not holding out. The closer you zoom in, you can actually see which ones you can see. So we're close enough to see the 1 metre above sea level. But we need to go in a bit closer to be able to get the 50 centimetre increments. So these are 1.5 centimetres above sea level. 1.5 metres, sorry. So yeah, very interesting. There's some very, very low spots around the place. And a very noisy toddler. Apologise, he's just playing with his brother. He's not doing anything interesting. So these are like 50 centimetres above sea level. So this can be when it can be useful to have the aerial map on. I do apologise for the squealing. So this you can actually see different spots where they are above sea level. Being able to know that's really important when you're gardening and designing areas. But contour maps are fascinating. But anyway, I better go now before I lose my voice. I hope you found this useful and interesting, and I'd love to hear what you think of it. Go in and have a look at your property and see what you find out. It's very, very interesting tool. Have a great one. Bless you.